good morning. We're going to call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's fine. Please pray with me. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the improving weather we've had here in the last week. It's nice to feel a little warmth in the air. Please guide us through this meeting here today. Amen.
Roll call.
Commissioner Frankert,
Here.
Commissioner Bustecker.
Here.
Okay. I will accept a motion to approve the digital audio video recordings of the previous board session from Tuesday, February 10th, 2026.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All right, Commissioner Bustecker.
Yes.
Commissioner Frankert.
Yes. Okay, we have a couple appointments today, so we will start off with John Spar with our EMA update.
Good morning. Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, John.
Do you have them?
Yep.
So we're going to start off just by talking about some upcoming trainings. They're also folded into the update. When we get to those, we'll skip past them. But I want to talk about them because they're coming up pretty quickly. The first 4 trainings are open to everybody. Anybody. You don't have to have a specialty. You don't have to be on a fire department. You don't have to be a responder in any way. They're available to anybody. And I'll tell you, some of them are just interesting to be at. May never end up using them. We'll start with the Skywarn Spotter Training. Now, these are coming in, by the way, out of order a little bit, but just talk about Skywarn Spotter Training, 6 to 8 p.m. Monday, April 13th, over at Tiffin University at the Osceola Gilmore Student Center. If you are already a Skywarn spotter, come back and get refreshed. If you're not, come in and get trained. You'll actually be certified, and you'll get a card, because this is put on by the National Weather Service and Seneca County EMA. So you can come and become a Skywarn volunteer. Then you can identify when we have dangerous storms or not. Okay, so that's this flyer here. Other trainings coming up. On Wednesday, March 11th, Hazmat Awareness Class. That's for anybody. And we have unlimited seats for that class. As many people as we can fit in the building, and we'll move buildings if we get as many people as we need to, or as we can get. Hazmat Awareness, that's just showing, that will teach you how to identify a hazardous material situation. You're driving down the road, you see an accident, you know where to look to find the placard. What does that placard mean? You don't need to memorize what the numbers on the placard mean. You just need to be able to see it and go, that's bad, I'm going to help get people away from this. Okay? The next one, Saturday, March 21st. This one's the fun one, I think. Okay, we haven't had this in the county yet. And that is lithium-ion battery and electric vehicle response training. More and more and more and more electric vehicles in the counties, and we're putting on the training to help train the fire departments how to respond to those. What to do with a burning battery, especially lithium-ion battery, and those batteries are big on cars especially. But this also has to do with scooters or tools. Those are all lithium-ion batteries, and they can catch on fire. Okay, so what do? It's open to you, to anybody who wants to come. I think it's going to be a fun training. I'm really looking forward to it. They're also bringing an EV, an electric vehicle, to show firefighters and anybody else. You know how to identify a gas-powered vehicle. You look for the gas cap. You know where the gas tank is in the back underneath the trunk. But where's the? How do you shut down the battery power on an EV that's been in an accident? I don't know. They're going to show you where to find those things and what the dangers are and how to deal with those. We also get an EV response kit with that training. So Seneca County EMA will have one for the county. So if we have an EV battery issue, not one that can deal with a car, but one that can deal with a scooter battery or a battery pack like that, you can't just douse it with water. It's not going to do anything. So we have, this is going to come with a a unit that they're going to show us how to use, and we'll keep it at the Public Safety Building for response, and maybe get some more that we can put out around the county. So those are good classes coming up. So that's hazmat, lithium ion, Skywarn spotter. The next one is hazmat operations class. Again, unlimited seating, anyone can go to this, except that if you want to go to the operations class and get a certificate, you have had to have taken the awareness class. That's why we're setting these about a month apart, so that we're not hitting people with a bunch of trainings. They're like, well, I'd like to be hazmat certified, but I can't take 4 days off this month or 8 days off this month just to do that. So we're spreading them out. That's the end of the open to the public kind of trainings that we've got going on right now. We are going to have, well, that's not true, because we do have a burp training. That's fun. Burp training? Anybody know what burp training is? It's not what you think. It's BERP, it's Bovine Emergency Response Planning. So this is an overturned animal vehicle on the road, a trailer full of pigs, a trailer full of cows, etc. We live in a place where that can happen. We have a lot of people who know how to handle it from the farm side, but not from the first responder side, maybe. So we're going to have that training on May 2nd at the fairgrounds. That is in conjunction with the OSU Extension Office. So that's open to the public as well, I believe. Hazmat.
Does it have to do with any grills and that kind of stuff, part of the process with that?
I'm not allowed to say that, what happens, happens. I don't know. Then we have the hazmat technician training for 40-hour training. That's a 40-hour class. Now, we held this training last year, and we held it Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30, whatever it was. And, I mean, this is like full-on classroom, and then you get dressed out in the hazmat suits, and you wear SCBA, and you learn how to do the work that you need to do in those suits, litmus tests, testing the air quality, all that stuff. But that doesn't really work for our volunteer fire departments. People have to work. They can't take the week off to come and get training that they don't get paid to use in the future. There's no return on investment financially for them. There's a huge return on investment for us as a county, for our firefighters to have this training. So I got with the trainers, and they agreed to do this over 2 weekends. So there's a Friday night, Saturday and Sunday, then we skip a week because that turns out to be Memorial Day weekend. We didn't think anybody wanted to come to training for 20 hours on Memorial Day weekend. So the following weekend, which is the last weekend of May, they'll come back in for Saturday and Sunday. And so that allows for more people to be able to take this class. And then the final class is safety officer, hazmat officer, and hazmat safety officer. These are required classes for every fire department should have a hazmat safety officer. It's required. Anytime we have an exercise where we have a fire department, in that exercise, one of the first questions is, where's your hazmat safety officer? And if they don't have somebody who's trained to that level, it's a hit on their exercise. We need somebody who can watch over the personnel protective issues in a hazmat situation, and so we're providing a 2-day training for hazmat safety officer. But to take the safety officer, you got to have the technician. To take the technician, you got to have the operations. To take operations, you have to take awareness. So they build. So we're spreading them out in order. So ostensibly, somebody who doesn't have any of this training can get to July and be fully trained through safety officer, and it's going to cost our fire departments nothing. These trainings are, with the exception of the burp training, which is being provided by the Extension Office, the rest of these trainings are being provided by grants from the Public Utilities Commission and EPA through the HMEP grant. And it's going to cost us, we pay 20% of each one of these trainings. For example, the most expensive one is the hazmat technician training, of course, 40-hour training for up to 20 people, and it'll cost us about $12,000 total, but 80% is covered by the grant. We pick up the other couple $1,000. So that's a really good deal for us to provide this kind of training. Once we have all the people in the county who can sign up for it, we'll extend it out to our friends in counties next to us and allow people to come up. Last year, we had 11 people take the technician class. Only one of them was from Fostoria, the rest were from Columbus and from Akron, and they came for the week to get this training because it's not offered everywhere, and it's not always offered for free to the fire department, so we open it up to whoever can make it. So that's the training. And there's flyers on all those. You don't have the flyers that have the QR codes on them, because I've had to modify his flyers to put QR codes on them. Those are going out to the fire departments. They're going to be on the website. They're going to be hung where I can put them so that people can sign up for them. Okay.
Reach out to you to sign up for these?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
If they email me, I will put them on the
Because
list.
I can post these out on the bulletin board in our lobby.
And I think I put a Skywarn one out there already.
Okay, perfect.
But yes, feel free to do so. If you want, I'll send you the ones with the QR codes and people can just sign up that way too.
Email, yeah, just email
I'll send them
those.
to you.
Yep.
Okay, let's see if I've got this working. Great. All right, so we're going to quickly cover what the Emergency Management, 911, and the Seneca County Emergency Planning Commission did last year, 2025. I like this right on the front, the when, not if. That's something you have to keep in your mind as you're working on plans, when you're working on what gets money, what should we train for, what should we have available when you're trying to balance that out. It's very easy to go, well, you know, we haven't had an actual tornado here for quite some time. Do we really need to put some, right? Do we really need to put money into that? Well, yes, because it's going to happen. It's when, not if. Is it tomorrow? Is it next month? Is it next year? Is it after we all retire? It's going to happen. So having those things built ahead of time are worthwhile. Is it necessary that we plan for wildfires? Like California-style wildfires? Probably not. Probably not. We have our share of field fires, but they're not like the wildfires that we have to deal with in California. So we probably aren't going to put a lot of money toward that. However, we are near a fault line, and we do plan for an earthquake. Because although they might only be, 2.0 on the Richter scale these days, someday it might be big. That could be next week, I don't know. None of us know. So when, not if. I try to keep that running in my mind as I think about what we're going to do tomorrow. So here's the 2025 Emergency Management Agency projects. We completed our completed and submitted our 5-year all hazards mitigation plan. It was accepted by the state. It's been accepted by FEMA. It's in place. We deal with it again and make sure it's in by 2030. We'll run that plan again, and we'll start looking at it in late 2028 and work on it in 2029. The cost of it was $25,500. The BRIC grant covered $17,000 of it. Now, I don't know that BRIC grant exists anymore. Over this last year, there's been some questions about the BRIC program, which is Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities. I don't know if they're going to continue funding it that way or if they're going to fund things differently. I don't know. It's a FEMA-funded program. They paid $17,000. We were responsible for $8,500. Now, we could have that $8,500, we could have just written a check for $8,500 and paid for it, or we could track all of the man-hours that were put into gathering this information and putting this plan together, which is what we did, and we actually qualified more than $11,226.46. So that paid for the other $8,500. Okay, we got credit for that. So this plan actually costs Seneca County $0. Okay, and it's done for 5 years. Communication tower generators were replaced last year. Our generators were 21 years old, which, it's a generator. It doesn't run all the time, but they do have a life on them. And our concern was not that they're getting too old, but they were starting to break down. This part would go bad, this part would go bad. The problem was there are Isuzu engines on a generator, and nobody makes those engines anymore, nor do they keep the parts in place. And it took 6 months to find a cowling for a fan blade. And we couldn't have our generators down for that long. So it was time to take a look at both generators, who are they're identical generators at Bascom and Republic, and replace them last year so that we didn't have a catastrophic shutdown of our communication system in the county, which is used by fire, police, sheriff, the busing system, emergency management, etc. One of those towers goes down without a generator, and we can't talk to anybody. So what we did, while one of the generators was down, is we took some portables out and everything we needed, so that if a tower did go down, myself or Matt Gray would run out, hook up and run the generator and give power back to the tower, and to just maintain that till we've got the line power back from the power company. Luckily, we only had to do that, well, we didn't have to do it in an emergency. We only had to do it when we had to shut down power for some other projects that were going on out there. So we bought 2 brand new, and this is important, these are Kohler generators from Buckeye Power Sales, and they are Chevy, I think, engines, which means that they can be repaired by Matt or somebody else by running down to AutoZone and picking up the part, instead of trying to find a part in Europe or a part in Japan through CAT. So we bought them from Buckeye Power Sales. They're identical, but they're not interior generators. The last ones were in a little room on the end of the building out in our spaces out there. These, we had to pour pads and set the generator on a pad outside, and it's exterior generator. It's a little larger than our other ones. They don't sell 15K generators for this application anymore. I think these are 25 kilowatt generators, which is the smallest we could get. They were almost $25,000, well, almost $24,500 for each generator. $11,500 for installation for each, and that was by Klaus Electric. And then we had Bishop's Plumbing and Heating come in to plumb in all of the gas, which they had to rerun because it was going to a whole different place. We couldn't use existing, they had to run new gas. That was $3,000 times 2. So those are done, in place. The generators are on the county generator schedule. They will be load tested every year, scheduled through ED. And they're actually run weekly, and then we go out and do our monthly, oil check and fluid check and stuff on it. But then the annual stuff will be done by whoever Ed has coming in to do load testing on the generator. So they're on that schedule. So is the generator at the public safety building. Attica Tower generator is not our generator, because that's on the Attica Power, the water pump down there, all their water stuff down there at the Attica. So we just tap into their generator. They're responsible for that generator. Okay, moving on. By the way, stop me if you have questions about any of this. I'm just going to go through it, so please feel free. Emergency Operation Plan updates. We review our annexes every month. We don't do all of them every month. We pick a couple for each month, and then we talk to the people who are, or the departments who are responsible for those annexes. For example, law enforcement is the sheriff's office. Sheltering is the Red Cross. Health issues is the health department, and we work with them and go through it and make sure it's accurate. Any changes that need to be made get made, and then reinstated. Our emergency operations plan, which is brand new in 2023, was on schedule to be reviewed in 2025 by Ohio Emergency Management Agency Planning Department, and they returned it with a favorable grade. They always have, notes. Should you do this? You want to do this? Maybe take a look at this, and we will look at those as we go forward through the annexes. But the plan was accepted by Ohio EMA. So. Public Safety Training Center technology upgrade. That was fun. And we actually changed the name from the training room to Public Safety Training Center. It's a fairly complicated system, it turns out. We tried to The guys who installed it, at our request, tried to make it as simple and foolproof as possible, but for what we need it for, it can be a little headache. Well, I saw you running around trying to get the TVs on and do what you wanted them to do. It can be that way. There's nothing wrong with it. It was very well spent money. It's just that if you don't do it every day, you're going to forget some step that's going to make it really difficult. But it's really great, and it's a huge asset to anybody coming in using that space. And we have told people, use the space in the county.
Are there like instructions for
There
someone
are.
to follow if they have,
There are.
okay.
Yep, absolutely. And I actually sent them back to him and said, please dumb these down. You know, because I'm not even, I'm skipping, I'm missing something. I don't know what that word means, and he did. So it
Okay.
is step by step.
Perfect.
Okay, so at the end of the year, we did a big clean out. We filled 2 or 3 dumpsters, 3 dumpsters. Just, you know, any spaces like this, the corners start to stack up with stuff. Well, we've got a lot of corners, we got big corners. And so this is an ongoing project. We have lots of different things. And the problem is I can't just go in and scoop everything out and throw it in a dumpster because something might be necessary, a part for something that we still have, or it could be something that you're just not allowed to throw away. Okay? It needs to be tracked. It needs to be taken care of. For example, we have 20 old radiation detectors. You know, the kinds you see in the movies, the box with the handle, and they're walking around like this with the, we have those. They're not good anymore, but I can't throw them in the garbage. So I call Ohio Radiation, the rad techs down in Ohio, and say, hey, these guys really belong to you. You just, 40 years ago, you gave them to the counties. And he was like, yeah, we don't want those back. I said, well, what are we going to do with them? He goes, stuff. He goes, we'll talk about how we're going to deal with that, but they can't take 88 counties worth of that stuff back at one time. They got nowhere to put it. And so I understand their dilemma. The problem is I'm hanging on to them too, and I can't throw them away because they have a little tiny bit of radiation in all of them. That's how they set their detectors. So that's the kind of thing that you have to be careful. You can't just go through with a scoop and dump everything into the garbage. You have to look at everything individually so it slows down a little bit. But we have made a huge dent. In doing that, we provided office space for a new EMS employee and cleaned that room out and got rid of some stuff and cleaned up some things. So we're well on our way to, working through every room. Also, updating our inventory list. We have an inventory list that is very, very long, as I would imagine. It's no surprise. But there's a lot of stuff on that inventory list that A, doesn't exist anymore, or has been stacked up in a corner. And so we've been tracking all of that, and we have to fill out each piece of paper, to get it off the inventory list. So those things are coming. We also went through an inventory and upgrade computers to Windows 11. That was a heck of a project. I started that a couple years ago because I was like, well, I don't want to get caught. Had nothing to do with cybersecurity. It just had to do with I don't want to get caught with 10, 12, 15 computers that I can't afford to replace because there's too many of them, but none of them will move up to Windows 11. So I started trying to move them up as soon as you could, start moving them up to Windows 11 and identify what I couldn't. So then we replaced those, and then it turned out we got to this year, and when I went through and did the inventory again, I was like, oh, we only need to deal with 2 or 3 of these things, not 20, which is great. So luckily, we were a little bit ahead of that. All right. Next page, grants. EMA grants, Emergency Management Performance Grant. The EMPG is our core grant. When I started here, it was like $87,000 a year, which is a 50% reimbursement grant. So for me to get reimbursed $87,000, I have to spend $174,000 a year, which, great. I'm sure you spend $174,000 a year, so get it all back. Well, not quite, because they every year have narrowed the scope of what you're allowed to reimburse. So this was originally put in place to make sure that counties who were told they have to have an emergency management director help pay for that, so it wasn't an unfunded mandate. Look, well, everybody will get skin in the game, and we're not gonna make you pay the whole salary and benefits package. We'll take half of it through this performance grant. We'll also pay for some office opening and some office equipment and this and this. And they opened it pretty wide at that time, and then they've been narrowing it down. They've also been dropping the amount. So, you'll see the period of performance for the fiscal year 2023 grant was from October of 2022 through the end of 2024. So you look back, in case there's stuff there that you weren't able to claim because it was still in process, and you can claim that on your next year's grant, and you can take it all the way forward. So they overlap. The next one, fiscal year 2024 period of performance, 10/1/2023 through the end of 2025. So, we collected $69,457 in the fiscal year 2023 because I had to, that year I didn't have to write a letter saying this is what I'm giving back. I couldn't use it. So we used all of it. I actually had to carve down the end of my grants when they said, listen, you only have $11,000 left and you claimed 23. I was like, okay, well, let's not claim all of this. And we used every dime of the grant that they could give us. We did the same thing in fiscal year 2012. Fiscal year 2024 is right now. I have my final quarter, October through December of 2025, is at state EMA right now, waiting for them to approve what I've asked for, which will be the balance, 11,000, whatever that would be, from 6537. So I've asked for more than that. I expect to get that back, and we'll close that out. Fiscal year 2025, we haven't signed up for yet, because it was all on hold from this last year's government shutdown, grants, questions, FEMA. They were gonna do it just for 1 year, not a 3-year period of performance like we talked about. They've walked that back. We're supposed to be watching out for our grant paperwork to sign, and that number, 64,926, is what we'll be eligible for 2025, which we'll look back to October, well, let's see, 2025, 10/1/2025, and look forward all the way through the end of 2026. Yeah, 2020, no, 10/1/2024 through 2026, not 25. So that's gonna be the period of performance. It was almost 1/1/2025 through 12/31/2025, which would have left some expenses on the table that we wouldn't have been able to claim. But they've walked that back and said, no, we're gonna be able to do that period of performance. So that's what I'm waiting for. You see the red number is we're not done with fiscal year 2024. I'm waiting for the balance of that to come in. And then 2025, I'm waiting for the paperwork to sign on that grant. Okay, Homeland Security Grant Program, we did not get that last year. But Harold Huffman and myself and some other people put it together and asked for about $80,000 for air monitoring equipment and some other items on there that we are lacking here in the county. But the preliminary application was accepted, then I called up the grants administrator for that grant at Ohio EMA. And I said, hey, I had some questions about putting in the detailed application, which is the one that they would go through, rank, judge, and decide who gets the money. And she said, listen, this grant is a huge amount of work. She said, you're not going to get the money. She said, we've had $25 million worth of requests. We have $8 million to hand out. You're not going to get it. It's not going to be considered. I'm telling you, officially, it's going to be denied, not because there's anything wrong with it, it's just not enough money. We're not going to get to Seneca County. And I said, okay. So we talked about it. We're going to do it piecemeal. And we're going to do it again this year, but we're going to break it up a little bit smaller and see if they won't just go, okay, we'll give you, and we'll put it in separately. We thought maybe it would be a benefit to share between, departments. And we're working together. We're not all trying to work against each other. And we will still do that, but we're going to do it in smaller chunks. For example, the air monitoring equipment is expensive, but I've started reaching out to our gas companies and asking them to help fund it, because that's what we're gonna be using it on. Okay, our air monitoring equipment is gonna be because of a pipeline break, so I think the pipeline company might be able to buy us an air monitor. They have them for gas air monitoring. So I'm reaching out and asking for them. For example, I did reach out to Columbia Gas, and although they don't have any air monitors, because what they do is every year they replace them, or in the past, every year they've replaced them, and they would apparently give out their old ones, which are still good, but they would give them away. They don't have any to give away this year, but they do have calibration stations, which are really expensive, and we're getting one of those here in a couple of months. Columbia Gas is giving us a calibration station, so we don't have to pay somebody else to calibrate our 4 gas monitors. Public Utilities Commission of Ohio grant. We used that to pay for some training, the awareness training and the operations training this year. And we will again apply this year for next year, because I want to keep these trainings rolling. There's always a need for this training every year, so we'll continue those. Next, we received a POET community grant. I applied for a POET community grant in order to buy Roth ID tags. Now, I just learned this morning that the leadership class, Senate County leadership class, is also doing Roth ID tags. So I'm going to sit down with them and see if we don't just pool. We were given this money from POET to spend on these Roth ID tags. So maybe we'll give that money to the leadership class, and we'll work with them on distribution of these items. I'm not going to, it was a good fitting project for the POET community grant, and they liked it, so they gave us the money for it. But I'll put that money toward the leadership class, and I think they're going to do a lot more with it. Then I'll help them get those distributed. CERT, EMA, Health Department will all work with them to get those done. So, okay, last year we instituted the HyperReach emergency wireless notification system. We moved away from WENS. WENS would not, first of all, we had some connectivity issues with WENS, and they were not getting back to us. We were at the end of our 3-year contract with them. We decided to move to HyperReach because HyperReach has more options for messaging. For example, you can tell if you have Alexa or Google Dot, you can go tell them to sign up for HyperReach. That you'll get your messaging through that assistant without having to connect your personal details to it. When something comes out for the area, it's going to tell you that through Alexa, through Google Home Assistant. What they will do that WENS would not do is if we have an emergency, a real big emergency, I can open up HyperReach, draw a box around the area that I need to notify, and hit a notification, and it goes out immediately to everybody there. Not everybody who signed up, just everybody there. Okay? It's like the integrated public warning system, which is like Amber Alert, iPause, where you drive into the area. Thank you. Dry. It's the same thing, but we don't have to go through the state to do it. What they've done is they have like data mined information, so that they have locations and phone numbers, so that you can let people know. And that's only used if a cloud of something terrible is headed that direction, and I need to tell people to either stay in their house or get out of the way. And WENS, you had to sign up. And if I needed to tell 50 or 60 households in an area to get out of the way, but only 2 households had signed up for WENS, or they'd changed their phone numbers and didn't update it with WENS, they weren't going to get that information. This way they can get the information. Now, you still can opt in for things like road closures and snow emergencies and informational stuff, what's going on at the fairgrounds or what's going on in the city of Tiffany. Each political subdivision that wants to be able to talk to the people in their subdivision. So, each township, each village, they're going to get offered based on a per capita. It's about 12.5 cents per person for their per capita. That's how we'll charge them, which will help subsidize this program. This is about $12.5 a year, which is up from what WENS cost. We're not going to, so for example, Loudon Township did this last year. They signed on, they wrote a check, and so it was the year before. And they had WENS available. They had people in Loudon Township signed up for their township, and they sent out meeting information and stuff like that in the township. They liked it. So when WENS went away, they said, well, how do we sign into the new one and use that and get that up? And we just had to figure out how to do it. So we're about to put that out and let political subdivisions on their own. If they don't want to do it and they need me to put out a message, I'll be happy to do it. But if it's not an emergency, they're not going to get it. I'm not going to put out, if Bloom Township or Bloomville doesn't want to pay for it, that's okay. They'll get all the emergency stuff, and anybody can sign up for it, and they'll get all that information. But if they want me to put out information about the festival they're going to put on, we don't use it like that. If you want to use it like that and talk to the people in your village, there's a way to do that. But got to get some skin in the game there. That, by the way, that's not hard and fast. I mean, I have a tough time telling people, no, I'm not going to tell people about your festival because you didn't pay me. It's terrible, So I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work. We've never had that before. We've never had people asking, but I'd like that system to get used like that because I want people to utilize the system, Like I said, emergency and non-emergency uses, available use political subdivision, and not only do we have more options for putting out messages, the user has more options for receiving them. And I'm trying to come up with a inexpensive campaign that is going to be effective. So we're going to be putting that out all over the place, including hanging QR codes for signing up. We had them out on the table last year at the fairgrounds.
Do you have them prepared yet or not quite?
I'm sorry?
Do you have those prepared yet, your QR code and stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
You might want to just put a table over at Treasurer's office, because there's a lot of people coming in and out of there paying their taxes. So
That's a good idea.
A little card table there with it.
And I was thinking about talking to Julie about putting something in one of their mailings in the future as well, so. Okay, thank you. All right, communication. We had to replace a couple of antennas, actually one antenna in feed line due to a lightning strike in the west side tower. That's at Bascom. East side tower's been pretty good, but we're going to be working on cleaning out all of the brush and whatnot that's over there. So, the west side tower is nice and clear because Hopewell Township sprays for us. They go in that area and they spray and keep all of the vegetation down. We don't have that over on the east side with Republic, so we're going to go in, clear it out, and spray it ourselves and keep that vegetation down. Attica Tower is maintained, like I said, that tower's right next to their water plant information, or their water plant stuff, and they maintain that. Public Safety Building Tower, we had to reset an antenna damaged in a windstorm. Same thunderstorm, by the way, that had the lightning strike that killed the west side antenna. So if you paid attention at all, and I don't expect people to walk around looking up, but you would have seen one of the antennas was like this, which surprisingly makes a huge difference as to how well that antenna works. It needs to either be vertical or horizontal, but like this is not good. Propagation does not work that way. We also provide IM responding to all the fire departments. Fire departments and first responders pay for that. They either pay $220, I think? $220 if they have less than 100 calls or runs a year. If you have more than 100, you pay $600. Most of our departments pay $600 a year. They write it. I bill them. I invoice them. They write the check to me, and I put it in. This ends up costing EMA about a couple, maybe $1,200 total. Because all the fire departments, EMS, they all pay their part. This is a digital way of getting runs, maps, and information when they're called out. And then they set up their own fire stations, and each member has this app, and when they get a call, they can say, I am responding, or I can't make it, or I'm unavailable, and you get a real-time list of who is going to be there on your way to the response, whether it's medical or fire or any response. Then we can use it for countywide messaging to the fire departments. We send out messages like I just did before I came down here. I sent out a message about the Seneca County Firefighters Association meeting on Thursday night this week. I do that once a month so that people are reminded that they have a meeting and they find out what the training is if we know, etc.
That Thursday or Wednesday?
It's Thursday this week because Wednesday there was already training, so it's important that it's Thursday. It's at Bettsville as well.
Right.
So yeah, that was. It's usually Wednesday,
Right.
but this week it's Thursday, or this month I should say. Okay, meetings and organizations. This is just and you can look at this. Just a list of some of the things that my office, which is me, because there's only really one person in there. Matt's part-time. Emergency Management, the Emergency Management Association of Ohio. I'm on the legislation committee. Northwest, we're involved in the Northwest sector and the North Central sector. Those all have monthly meetings. I serve on the Administration and Finance Committee on the State Emergency Response Commission. Those are the people that give us our money for LEPC and manage the Right to Know and the EPCRA. I'm on the Northwest Ohio Healthcare Coalition as one of the Emergency Management Committee members. And I have been a board member of the Red Cross of Northern Ohio for about 12 years now, I think. And I'm also the Seneca County Community Volunteer Leader for Seneca County. I'm a member of the International Association of Emergency Managers, and I'm currently working on my Certified Emergency Manager designation. It's like a certification is what it is. It's called the CEM. And you have to write a paper, and you have to do some research, and you have to take some classes and do some other things, but that's what I'm working on right now. I'm a member of the Senior Resource Network for Seneca County, and I think it's for some other counties too, but we meet here in Seneca County. And Seneca County Firefighters Association, I meet with CERT when I can, and Citizen Corps is a quarterly meeting or as needed. Sometimes all it does is Citizen Corps manages CERT and the medical response team, so we're going to be working on that with the health department, adding them onto the Citizen Corps meeting. I also have a weekly Ohio 911 County Coordinators call. Last year, we had the Northwest Ohio Legislative Roundtable in Lucas County, where we had as many of our Northwest Ohio legislators come as we could to talk to them and get face-to-face and time with our legislators so that they know who we are. Ohio Rail Development has a quarterly meeting that I'm involved in. Buckeye Community School Plan, I went to sign off on their plan, as well as all the other schools. I meet with all the schools on their 3-year cycle. And then we had spring conference and EMAO fall conference and winter conference. 2 of those were virtual. The other one was a 2-day conference where we had training and lectures, etc., where we got almost all of the EMA directors together in one room. Under training, I completed my risk assessment certification through Texas A&M this past year and got my certificate allowing the Seneca County Emergency Management Agency to do commercial risk assessments in Seneca County and elsewhere, which some places need for grants or for loans, etc. They need to have a risk assessment done. So it was something that we can now provide to our especially in Seneca County, our businesses, when they need it, we can provide those services. I'm a Seneca County Intelligence Liaison Officer through CISM. I took some training with long-term recovery in communities. The EMA Spring and Fall Conferences, those were continuing education. Integrated Public Alert and Warning System, the IPAWS. That was also continuing education. There's two people in the county that can trigger an IPAWS, the EMA director and the sheriff. Okay, it's an application you make through Leeds. It goes down to, through Leeds or through HyperReach, and it goes down to Columbus, and they decide whether or not it's worthwhile. What you don't want to do is send out these alerts all the time until people go, okay, I'm sick of it, turn it off. So Columbus maintains that, and they say, okay, yep, that's definitely something that's got to go out, and it happens immediately. It doesn't sit in a queue waiting for somebody to look at it. When it comes up, when you put in the request, you'll know within 30 seconds whether or not you can send that message out. Took a class on housing for post-disaster. And then we had some training, some tabletop exercises and other trainings. Fostoria Community Hospital Active Attacker tabletop. I was a player in that. The grain bin rescue training out at your place last year was excellent training. Wyandotte County tabletop exercise, I evaluated that. We all serve as evaluators for each other's exercises, except for your own, because we had our Seneca County Emergency Operations Center exercise, which we're doing again this year, so that we can take the things we learned from that and apply it this year, because we're in a new 4-year cycle for our required exercises for LEPC. I evaluated Huron County full-scale exercise and Lucas and Fulton County's full-scale exercises. I went to a railcar response training, and I took MGT 315 and 414, which is what culminated in that critical infrastructure risk assessment certification. Education and outreach, last year, this year, it's always revolving. I am a guest lecturer twice a year at Tiffin University, actually 4 times a year at Tiffin University, twice for Ronnie Rice's class and the other for, what is his class? Well, it's the Homeland Security class and EMA class, and his name escapes me because I didn't write myself a note. I do radio interviews, speak to the League of Women Voters, which I'm doing tomorrow night for 2026. I speak to the Safety Council, Fostoria Library, Tiffin Seneca Library have had me in. I represented Seneca County and the city of Tiffin at the Knight York Rite Cross of Honor banquet that was held at Tiffin Lodge this year, speaking about the county, the city, and welcoming them to the area. We had a booth at the fair, and I go around to all the public schools and speak to staff and students. Tiffin Columbian, I do a program there called, it's like a lunch and learn sort of thing, but they call it Fuel and Focus. I do that a couple of times a year, and I speak to Seneca East, and I speak to Old Fort, staff and students on different topics. Okay, so responses, our big one, Attica rail car, and then they got hit not long after that in the diesel spill. 20 rail cars, 12 ethanol tankers, 5,800 gallons of ethanol spilled. They scooped it all out. I just actually reviewed the final chemical testing, and everything was within limits. There's always going to be somebody who says, no, it's not. I can smell something. I can, yeah, and probably, but it has to be within limits. So if it has dropped below the limits, your complaint at that point is about what the limits should be. And you may be right, but that's way outside of my area of response. So there were 8 corn syrup, meal, and coal cars spilled. It took 5 months to remediate it and get all the dirt and garbage out and test everything and make sure that the water was not impinged. I think the only question in my mind right now is what effect, long-term effect, that ethanol is going to have on some of the 10-inch piping and connections that run along the rail there that go from their lab to the tower. I don't have any reason to believe that that's going to be bad, but I also don't have any knowledge that, hey, ethanol's okay to be laying on this rubber connective part of the pipe. I don't know that. Nobody does. Everybody's saying, well, we never tested for that. So that's going to be a question, and they'll continue to keep an eye on that. Diesel spill, State Route 4. Semi-tractor with punctured saddle tank. And you can see, they brought in a company that scooped out the ditch there and got rid of all of the, it wasn't that much, it was like 25 gallons, but when you spread 25 gallons across, 50 feet of ditch, you're gonna have to scoop all of that dirt out. And you're gonna have to go past where it is to make sure you've got clean margins. More responses. There was a sewage request in Fostoria and a ferrous sulfate. Actually, the sewage request was at a apartment complex. That actually went to the EPA and Health Department. They took care of that. 200 gallons of ferrous sulfate, also in Fostoria. 5 gallons of hydraulic fluid. These are things that were called in by people to EPA, and then the EPA calls me and I go out and check them out. Some of them need to be dealt with, some of them do not. They don't know what it is till somebody goes out and puts their eyes on it. So, diesel fuel spill in Loudon Township. That was at the landfill. That was, 3 days apart. There was a Thursday and a Saturday. The diesel spill part was, there was a fire, and then the other one was just a punctured tank, but it was all contained and cleaned up. The fire burned up that diesel fuel, and they didn't have much to clean up. So, these are things that I've responded to. Pleasant Township, it turned out to be red dye, okay? Dye that's used, I don't know how that's used in farm. I'm not sure how it's used on a farm, but the guy wanted to track some of his, he wanted to see where it had a leak in a drain. And so he put the dye in there, and it ended up in the creek and turned the creek red. And he didn't intend that. That was an accident. But it took a little bit to track back where it came from, and it turns out that it wasn't toxic in any way whatsoever. So, but that was a fun one, because I was like, oh man, we're going to be out here for days trying to figure this out. I have no idea. And then there was a spill of this Nomar, which is it's like a paint. It's an anti-rust, commercial anti-rust paint that was spilled, and I don't know what there was no amount on that. That was just reported in. I think that was reported in by the city themselves to the EPA. 2026 projects and plans coming up. We're doing an address project in conjunction with Seneca County 911, getting our addressing all fixed up to move to next generation 911, as we also look at, and we'll talk about this in the real quick 911 presentation, that we are going to have to change our call taking software. Emergency Call Works is sunset. They're not going to be supporting it after a certain amount of time, and we have credit with them. We're going to utilize that if we can to put in a new 911 system. Now, we're talking about hardware and software. It doesn't change anything about infrastructure. It's just going to change the PSAPs, and if we end up going with the same company, Motorola, with their Vesta system, they'll just come in and swap things out desk at a time, server at a time. They'll come in and do the server, they'll put everything in, cut over from our current server to the new server, and there won't be any. And we won't need any infrastructure. We've already got the fiber loop, etc. That's all good. We don't have to do anything with that. But we do have to get our addressing ready for the next generation 911 portion of that. Communications Committee, we're going to be bringing that up because we have some things we want to discuss for the future. It's been brought up by the new operations director, who has some knowledge of radio, and there may be some things we can do with our current setup that will make it better for first responders. Co-op plan, I want to gather co-op plans or research what we need for a co-op plan, continuing operations, continuity of operations for the county in case of a disaster. I'm not aware of us having one. We should have one, and each department should have one that dovetails into the county plan. So that'll be a big project. I want to get that started this year. We're going to go through the old MCI trailer, and we're going to decide how we're going to manage mass casualty situations without hauling a gigantic trailer around and having to maintain that trailer. We don't think it's necessary. Citizen Corps, we want to rope the health department into the Citizen Corps and have them have a seat on it and bring their medical response team, the volunteer medical response team, underneath that. Then we have tabletop exercises all over the place. I go and evaluate them. I go to nursing homes and do their required ones. I help write them for like the School of Opportunity. I help write theirs and then help them do theirs so that they stay current. Also a cyber exercise. So there's a game that I can get that is an excellent cyber exercise that tests your county's ability to withstand or tests the plan. And it's fun. It's a game. So, I mean, it's like a board game that comes, it's been developed. Ohio EMA has copies of it, and they'll let us borrow one for 90 days, so we'll put that together here shortly. Okay. And of course, we have Skywarn training coming up, we talked about at the beginning. All right, real quick, we'll run through Seneca County 911 and LEPC. I've been talking for almost an hour now. So we'll get that done. AT&T, $450.30 a month. That's how we connect to the world as far as 911. They manage the 2 modems that we have, and that's what we pay monthly for that. That hasn't changed in years. I don't expect it to change unless we make a change to what we need. That could be happening if we change to a different call handling solution. Emergency call works to be replaced. 911 committee and communications committee with dispatcher input. We're going to put that group together, and then we're going to start looking at some others. This is going to be a due diligence thing, okay? We're going to look at several different vendors before we decide what's best for us. Training and education. PowerPhone site license for PSAP training. This is for all the dispatchers. They're required to do 8 continuing education credits a year. 2 of them are required, and they are on the state 911 site. So in February, those things go up. They have to watch them, sign off on them. Somebody has to sign off saying that, yes, indeed, they took that training. The other 6, you can get from anywhere. So we provide PowerPhone, which not only gives training, it also gives protocols for how to handle EMD, which is emergency medical dispatching. So if somebody calls in and says, I'm having a heart attack, they flip to heart attack and they can walk down through the state-approved EMS questions in order to provide as much information and help on the phone as they're getting paramedics out to that person. They have to be EMD qualified, which means they have to take a class. We used to have to pay for that per dispatcher, $200 a person. And then they would get that done, and then they would quit and go somewhere else where they thought they were going to have a better deal. Well, what happens, they get to the end of their 16 weeks, and they would be told, okay, you're going to be working the midnight shift from this day to this day. And they're like, I have kids, I can't work midnight shift. I need daytime. And they're like, we told you that wasn't going to be possible. And they're like, well, I can't work here then. And then they'll go find a place where they can, taking the training that we paid for them. So instead, we are paying for a site license. You can take as much training as you want in anything you want that they provide, and they're always adding classes. So we're not getting hit constantly. We pay $4,179 for 3 site licenses. Fostoria, Tiffin, the sheriff's office. The sites pay for their own maintenance and stuff, which is a couple $100 a year. They have to pay that. We get an annual grant based on 911 fees. If you look at your phone bill, you see you used to get charged 25 cents per 911 for a 911 fee. I think it's now up to 52 cents. That passed. That money comes to us to pay for our 911 system. Okay? So last year, it went from $115,000 a year to $187,000 a year because it changed part of the way through the year. So it's going to be a little bit more this year, I think, because it's going to be the 52 cents. It also used to be that, let's say you could call 911 on your phone or on your watch alone, not through your watch and your phone, but just your watch and your phone and your telephone at home if you had a hard line, right? And so you got charged 25 cents. That's it. One for that phone, one for this phone, 50 cents a month. Now, anything you have that's connected, that can dial 911, you pay that 52 cents for. So if you have an iPad that's connected and you can dial 911 when you're nowhere near your phone, you're paying 52 cents for that connection. And that bill is all billed through your telephone company or your wireless company or whoever's providing you with that connectivity. Which is why we're seeing such a jump in the amount of money coming back to the counties.
Does that also come from like OnStar or a program in your vehicle that you can call 911 from?
I think so, actually, I do think so. I think they said anything that can dial 911 has to pay that 52 cents a month. So the question is, yes, because if you're paying OnStar, you're paying a monthly fee or an annual fee, you're paying the equivalent of 52 cents a month for this is 911 connectivity. Mapping and addressing training with GIS professional. So that's some education. We've taken that. I went with Ivy to a mapping and addressing class. We're going to hold the next level mapping and addressing class here. She needs it, I need it, for us to move to the next generation 911, which, by the way, hopping on the next generation 911 for the state of Ohio, it's called the EZNet, will provide us with text to 911 capabilities and eventually video to 911 capabilities without any additional cost on our part. Now, I could do it right now for $40,000 or $50,000 a year for just text to 911. But the state is putting together a system that allows it for nothing. We'll join the EZNet system through our new 911 stuff if we have our addressing and mapping put together. And GIS is working on that. They're working with the engineer's office, and I'm helping her with that. So we're getting that done. 2026 projects, new countywide 911 system. I expect that to happen this year. CallWorks is at the end of life. Motorola has a program called Vesta. If we go that direction, they'll give us credit for the last 3.5 years of our contract with Motorola that we've already paid for. And they'll cut that off the end, and then we'll only pay for the balance. We have the money to do that, so that'll be good. But we are going to take demonstrations from other vendors to make sure that we're getting the best product for our county. Emergency Planning Committee, we'll do this very quickly. We've already talked about most of what this committee does. We meet quarterly, January, April, July, and October. Usually we cancel the January meeting because there's just nothing to do. And it's dicey, and it would have been dicey. That was the big blizzard and terrible snow and stuff. It's when we would have met. LEPC contracts with EMA to manage the Tier 2 and EPCRA requirements. We connect with businesses that have hazardous substances and extremely hazardous substances to make sure that the fire departments know that they have that, so that when they respond to something, it pops up in their system as, hey, listen, they carry a lot of sulfuric acid here, and it's in these vats. Where is that on the map? Well, it's right here. Where's the fire? It's right here. Here's what we have to be careful of. Okay? That's the point of it. We update the hazmat plan annually, submit annual finance reports, apply for an annual grant, which gains us about $20,000 a year. Maintain records of oil spills and of spills and responses, and fulfill record requests. So if you have, let's say this is happening a lot actually, up in Bettsville, you had a company that used to have some hazardous material on their property, but they went out of business 30 years ago. Okay, well, they're going to sell that property. They have to go through like an environmental search. And they call us up and go, hey, do you have any records of any spills or any problems up there? And I go through, I keep a filing cabinet full of response records for those things on those properties. So when they ask that question, I can go to that address and go, nope, I don't have anything for them. And I answer that back, and they move on with their, or I send them a copy of what we have and tell them what was there, and it's gonna, I don't know if it's gonna affect them or not. But they need to know if they're selling this property or buying the property, if there's anything on it. It's just an inspection thing. And 2025 training, we just talked about this. HMEP funded the training. We talked about the PUCO training that was funded, but the HMEP funded training is for a technician, safety officer, and our EOC functional exercise. They're going to pay for that as well. So we have that all ready to be 80% paid for. We pay for 20%. Upcoming training, we talked about this at the beginning, so that's just another list of the training. And that is it.
Very good.
Can I answer any questions for anybody?
Burp training, when is that?
May 2nd. Don't know what time yet. But the reason that we're trying to make sure that that's going to happen out there is part of it is they want to bring in a trailer so that they can show people, firefighters, how these trailers work. You know, especially since if you're in an accident, that trailer might be twisted a little bit. How are you going to get in and out? And they want first responders who are not familiar with large animals to be able to get up close to a cow. They're going to have somebody bring a cow in and put it in a pen and allow people to come in and get close. Last thing you want is first responders who won't go anywhere near an animal who's likely going to be very upset and out of sorts. Yeah. So you better be used to getting close to them. Luckily, a lot of our firefighters are farmers. A lot of our firefighters have lots of experience with large animals and are not squeamish about getting up close to. So we have a lot of institutional information there, so that's good. Okay, I'll stop talking. You guys go into the meeting. Thank you so much for your time.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Yep.
Okay, next we have soil and water conservation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. All right, well, thank you, and good morning. Thanks for having us here back again. And this is our fourth quarter, so this edition's going to capture our wrap-up of what we ended with 2025. So my first one I'm going to hit on is H2 Ohio. Again, it's a statewide initiative that started with Governor DeWine and goes through the Ohio Department of Agriculture. So Seneca County is very fortunate enough to be with one of the 24 original counties that has been a part of H2 Ohio since the beginning. And with the wrapping up 2025, we have brought roughly $2 million to Seneca County itself, to the farmers for participating in this program. So that is $2 million collectively. So whatever best management practices that they were doing on their farm, anywhere from nutrient management, using cover crops, handling manure properly, and putting small grains back in the rotation, and doing really, really good things. Which it somehow, with their math, they figured out that in Seneca County, roughly 21,000 pounds of phosphorus from preventing it from entering any of the waters of the state of Ohio. Which that was roughly about 75,000 acres of cropland in Seneca County, which was about a quarter of the croplands in the county. So now as we started moving in here to 2026 and 2027, we have roughly about 100,000 acres in Seneca County enrolled, which moved it about to 40% of the county. So we're almost at half of the cropland, which is like really, really good. I would say we're probably above average compared to our surrounding counties to see how everyone in comparison of that. So ODA put the bar high for everyone to increase your numbers in your county to be enrolled in H2 Ohio, and we sure met their expectations, so that's really good. And that H2 Ohio will continue through, for sure, through 2026 and 2027. We're not sure about anything after that. Our contracts are just good for 26 and 27, but, and it kind of depends with the new governor and things like that and how that goes down. So, Since 1999, Prune Ground Farm has hosted a memorial deer hunt that is for mobility impaired hunters. And that this year they were able to harvest 5 deer, which has been the highest total since 1999, which was a really cool, impactful thing there. Deer has definitely been very populated in Seneca County, as I've hit them myself. But it was really cool to hear that, and we had 19 participants this year. And there was 5 deer that were harvested, so that was a really good highlight there. One of the things that our district offers to farmers is a fertilizer placement tool, which is a really big machine with a really big tractor. But at the cost of them is just the use of the tool itself. It's their own fertilizer. If they need recommendations, we help them for that nutrient management. We provide obviously the tool, the tractor, and we provide someone to run it. So the farmer does not need to have any experience with that. They just need to have the fertilizer at the right time for us there. But we're able to do about 500 acres throughout the county on that. Which was really, really good to see that tool being used. It places fertilizer about 4 inches underneath that soil surface, which allows that fertilizer to be right there for the crop when it needs it, but also with the rains and stuff, it's already in the soil. It's not gonna wash away with that subsurface. And then we had 2 new board members start here in January. And so they're starting their 3-year terms. We have Jessica Burlekamp and David Cassidy. Both are Seneca County farmers and are super excited. And they have participated with programs, and they have been previous partners for projects and things. So it's going to be a really good partnership, and we're excited for them to be our new board members. And then this fall and winter, we had many connections with our partners, such as TIP and Sentinel FFA chapter, projects and gatherings with OSU Extension. A new one was our Seneca County Community Council. The Columbian High School Fuel and Focus program, we went there. Seneca County Fair, their family fair lights, we donated our time to help them with that. Solitude Ministries, we hosted them at Prune Ground Farm to hold a candlelight memorial there. And then we went to Bellevue High School Growth Program. So at all these, we gave various presentations about Seneca Conservation District, Prune Ground Farm, and the importance of agriculture and their personal connections with it. Maybe they have intentions of future careers that they may not know about, and it could be connected to agriculture. And it's been a really fun quarter. So, questions?
Well, you guys have been busy, so yes.
Yeah.
Has there been any new ditch projects brought in maintenance or when?
Oh, good question. Not new projects, I would say, in terms of that. Contractors are working right now, trying to get stuff wrapped up. Obviously, tax calls have been a great thing right now for that, but our ditch maintenance personnel are working on that right now too. And then they'll start ditch inspections as soon as the weather's fit. So that's happening in ditch world.
I also see that Adams Township contributed their tree.
They did.
Yeah, so.
Yes.
This weekend's the America 250 kickoff, so through the Destination Seneca County, they planted trees for every township around and stuff on that. So Adams actually let theirs at
Put
the
it on
proving
there.
ground
Yep.
around there and stuff on
Yep.
it, so.
So
yeah.
it's right in front when you drive in, you'll see it. So, yeah.
Yep. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Past commissioner reports.
Yeah, mine's pretty quick if you want me to talk at all.
It don't matter. It's
Okay.
Okay, we're going to keep moving here. How about county administrator report?
I just have 2 items. Just quickly, I received an email last Friday from Safe Built. They have a office designated hours on Tuesdays from 1 to 3 at the Board of Health building. They are going to cease that and adjust that from walk-ins to a scheduled meeting only. So they will no longer be occupying that space at the Board of Health unless they have a scheduled meeting with someone. Because I think over the last year and a half to almost 2 years now, they just don't get the walk-ins that they thought they might. So they're just moving along to, it's just not sustainable.
How big of an office? It's been a while since.
It's not very big. It's probably no bigger than you or I's office.
Okay.
It's not, it doesn't take up a lot of space, so.
So they're gonna maintain, or they just gonna like?
I'm not exactly sure. I think they're going to maintain it, and we do have a phone over there that forwards all calls to someone else, you know, forward out of that office. So we are working. They just have very few walk-ins out there, but they'll probably have somebody come in, you know, periodically check mail because we do get mail over there. You know, they do get some plans and things like that, but they won't actually physically have hours. They'll just start scheduling meeting times with that. The other thing that I have is sales tax. Believe it or not, I have sales tax already this month. For the month of February, which is collection for December sales, we collected $1,214,670.08 in sales tax, which from the previous year is almost a 31% increase, and from the previous month is a 23% increase.
See, I thought everything's been behind
Yeah,
the last couple of months. didn't
well,
it?
sales tax is always 2 months behind.
Yeah.
But yes, so we did collect that, and the actual target would be 16.67%, and currently we're at 18.3%.
So we kind of,
So-
as Brett said, we was kind of down and then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were down.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like it's kinda-
Yeah, last month we were down 3%, so.
Kinda brought it back up
We
to-
brought it back up, so we'll see, I mean, you just never know where sales tax is gonna go, so, I mean,
I stayed inside in the winter.
I think a lot of it had to do with Christmas, but, you know, we'll see what what March brings for January, so, but I don't have anything else.
Okay. Go into any old business. Okay, we'll go right into new business, supplemental appropriations.
Just a couple. From the general fund, I have a transfer out of $166,817. This is for the soil and water administration transfer. I never put this into the budget because I never know what this dollar amount's going to be. We don't get that until soil and water actually receives the money into the county, and then we have to transfer it back to them. And then also out of general fund, I have GED supplies. This is for the sheriff's office. It's a grant that they've received from Fostoria Learning Center, as well as the contract services in the amount of $13,343. That also, again, grant from the Fostoria Learning Center. And then for the capital projects fund, I have public safety building of $11,280. This is for the to put in a mini split for the supply room for EMS. And then also out of the capital projects fund for the job and family service complex, $44,450. This is to put in a new gas line and 2 new furnaces for their break room out at job and family services. And then I have the opioid remediation grant fund for supplies in the amount of $2,994, and also contract services in the amount of $31,556.51. These are for the sheriff's office. They receive grant funding from the state of Ohio.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to
Okay.
approve supplemental appropriations.
I'll second.
Commissioner Bustecker?
Yes.
Commissioner Franker?
Yes.
And the only resolution that I have is authorizing the fund transfer be made to the soil and water fund in the amount of $166,817.
So move.
Second.
Commissioner Bustecker?
Yes.
Commissioner Franker?
Yes.
That is all I have, gentlemen.
Okay, very good. Just a little follow-up, so we are still working on the egg building and stuff with that, so should we get into March or so, hopefully we get things kind of culminated, out the bid stuff's kind of going, so on that, so. Very good. Anything else?
Thank you guys for coming in.
Thank you, yes.
Good report,
I have
sir.
a question.
Thank you.
You know, have you heard any update from your state association as to how and when counties will be affected by the property tax revision?
So, a little bit that, so they've done some legislative action and stuff on it, and you should see on your, that's where they're kind of telling everybody, just pay your first half of your bill, because you should see a reduction on the second half with some of the stuff they've done already. So as far
I
as the
meant
amounts,
I meant for services to the county. I know that that's supposed to, I mean, it's obviously gonna affect the county budget, right?
correct, yeah, it'll be basically the whole state and stuff on that, yeah.
Right.
So the process is they're getting petition, if they get a petition turned in, and it goes on a ballot, and then if that passes and it does away with the taxes, then that's a huge gap that's gonna have to be filled and stuff through that process. But it's kinda hard to, I mean, the townships and EMS and fire and.
Schools, well, schools are already planning on it. That's
Right.
why I wondered,
Parks,
Yeah.
I wondered what the
Parks.
county was planning.
Well, I mean, that's the issue, I mean, because we as our budget don't have the funds to be able to do that. So that's why it's gonna have to be a state decision on, are they gonna, increase sales tax? Are they gonna increase income tax? Are they gonna increase, to do this? We just had actually a Farm Bureau legislative meeting, and, one of the things they're talking about there is there's a lot of, stuff the farmers are exempt from, that they might have to start paying sales tax on stuff with it. So there's just a lot of different conversations going on with this, so, yes, that's definitely,
But there's no timetable. I mean, like, will affect the next budget or?
well, basically, it just depends if they get it on the ballot. If it gets passed on the ballot, that's where the big actions are gonna have to come from. So I think they're working to try to, they've made some leaps and stuff with it, so it just depends on the process of that. It's too early to tell yet to see what happens on it, but they have made some adjustments and stuff to it,
Okay, thank you.
yes. Okay, anybody else? Okay, meeting adjourned.